थोड़ा लेट से स्टार्ट किया.
This is something we regularly forget, putting on the record.
Yes, literally.
Soumya madam is our one sincere student who joins definitely ahead of time of everyone.
Yes. Yes. Yes, ma'am joins early. Okay, so I think we'll just wait for one more minute and then start.
Yeah. And थोड़ा recap कर दो last week का.
हाँ,
Easy for me to catch.
So we'll go directly to the FAQs only. Okay. So good morning everyone and thank you for joining in today's SMS. So as you all know that it's a weekly satsang, GST satsang for all of us, wherein basically satsang is a place where good friends meet together for discussing something good, and that's what we do here in this SMS. So before we start, I'll just like Venuji to give a brief overview of the discussions that we are having. Venuji, over to you.
Yes, thank you. And definitely our Arup doesn't need any introduction, so I am not introducing Arup, but I should say thank you to Arup for coming out and taking, because the speaker when skipped and I was not in station, Arup said, okay, yeah, important, let's do it. And as everyone know, that our Saturday discussion, we don't do discuss on the basic, and it is very deep interaction. All that I request everyone is inform other members of our group whom you know to participate regularly. That is point one. Second, mark it in your calendar that to attend this session, so that you don't any engage any commitments that come up. You plan this where whichever is your existing structure for planning your calendar. Do this, and the Zoom link is always in the group discussion. We don't change the Zoom link. It is same Zoom link every month. Coming to today's topic, right now it is hasn't popularized because the SPL forms are not active that has been using. But definitely when it comes, we are going to be even more active. But it's the time we have to advise the clients and whomsoever we meet, and asking them to look at the old orders. And if you have to do something, advising them, log into the portal, check, and if something can be taken as a benefit of amnesty scheme. So we popularizing and sharing about this scheme to others is also very important. Whether we may do it or not, but someone will have a case, and they will know, okay, there is an option that needs to be handled. On this note, I request Arupji to start the session.
Thank you very much. So yeah, as rightly pointed out, like one of the purposes of this session having been so early, even though the forms are not in place, is that we as faculty members, we have a responsibility towards the taxpayers, the tax administrators, wherein we are taking different sections and wherein different questions are coming and which will be clear on this. So now quickly going to the topic of 128A. As we have seen, as we have discussed in the last week, I'll just recap in maybe 2 minutes, that basically 128A is not an amnesty scheme, that is for all of us to understand. And why do we say so? Because it is not a separate scheme that has been brought in, but it's a section that has been introduced in the Act itself. So everything going fine, maybe this is here to stay for some time, wherein different kinds of benefits may be given from different years to different notifications. So that's the hope of the and the understanding of the taxpayers. So having said that, for the present time, what is the benefit that has been given to all of us as taxpayers? So 128A is basically a last minute forgiveness for all the errors and omissions that the taxpayers have done for the 3 financial years, 17-18, 18-19, 19-20. This is based on a lot of discussions like, the initial address by the FM to the PA, Honorable Prime Minister, where it was said that GST is a new legislation and, minor mistakes, they will be forgiven and forgotten. So many things have happened in the background. So having said that, the final, based on representations by the taxpayers and the tax professionals, this this particular thing has been introduced. And what has been essentially given benefit of is a waiver of interest or penalty. Okay. And what are the waiver of interest and penalty give related to? They are related to Section 73 orders only. So if the order of the show cause notice is in 74, then what we need to do, that also we have discussed, and we'll again discuss maybe in a few minutes from now. So essentially, the show cause notice should have been issued in 73. And what we had discussed last day is that the payment of the tax, it could have happened during the entire journey of the proceeding. And when we say journey of the proceeding, what do we mean? That means maybe a situation had arisen that, there was a notice, just a letter has come to you, and based on the letter, you have paid the tax. But you did not pay the interest and penalty because you thought that, ठीक है, tax pay कर देता हूँ, but interest penalty मुझे नहीं pay करना because of whatever reason. And so there was a doubt that, only show cause notice mein jo rahega hoga. But finally, we have got a FAQ wherein it says that no, any payment which has been made in the nature of tax during the entire journey of this proceeding, that is, even if any letter was given or prior to the show cause notice, okay, after the DRC 0, say in ASMT 110 stage, in the DRC 01A stage, one stage, after one, before appeal, after appeal, whatever is the stage, that doesn't matter. Whatever tax has been paid, if tax has been paid in entirety, the interest and the penalty for that will be waived. Now, there is a restriction given on that. What is the restriction that has been given? That is that if the interest is related to or linked to late filing of returns or late reporting of invoices, then they will not be covered under this particular waiver. That is one of the exceptions that has been carved out of this. But there, as we'll see now, in a few minutes from now, there a wonderful thing has been said that where interest is payable because of non-payment of self-assessed tax. So now we need to discuss today what is self-assessment. What does self 7512 speak about? So this is something that we discussed. And apart from this, another important aspect that we discussed last day is that, of course, we know, I'll just say that A is for where the notice has been issued, order is not issued. B is order is issued, order in appeal has not been issued. Here the House has also discussed that order has not been issued would also include within it the universe of the orders where the taxpayer has not gone in appeal. मेरे पास एक order in original है, but मुझे लगा कि अभी 128 आ गया है तो मैं appeal में गया ही नहीं. ठीक है. So the view of the House, we had a consensus that here it would also include those orders where I have not gone into appeal, because the word used is where order has been issued under 73(9) in respect of the notice issued or statement under 73, but where no order has been issued by the appellate authority. So here the word, it has not been used that where appeal has been filed and order in appeal has not been issued. So taking cognizance of non-inclusion of this word, we have taken the view that even if you have an order against which you have not filed an appeal, for which the time is barred, even that you will be covered under B. And C is straight cut, where you have an order from an appellate authority or a revisional authority, and where no order is passed by the appellate tribunal, so or maybe the higher forum. So all these three situations are there. And the other important thing where we spent a lot of time last week is on redetermination of tax, 75(2). So whether redetermination of tax is possible, what will happen, how it will happen, whether redetermination will include only 74 to 73 conversion, whether the notice, say the appellate authority feels that it is not a fit case for 74 and he sends it back to the jurisdictional officer or the adjudicating authority, and he has to issue an order, whether he can issue, he has to issue a notice, whether he can issue a notice after the date specified for issuance of notice under Section 73 through a circular that we had seen yesterday. It was said no, the timeline for 73 has to be adhered to, and therefore if the redetermination notice is issued after the date of 73 and the appellate authority feels that it's not a fit case. I'll just give you a practical example where it has happened for me in Jalpaiguri jurisdiction. So it was a matter of 3B2A. We had gone into appeal and it was a notice by the CGST. So the order was passed under 74. So amongst other things, the ground that we had taken is that the order is not sustainable because the ground of 3B versus 2A is not a ground where fraud can be proved. Because I have already paid to the taxpayer, the recipient, sorry, supplier, he has not filed his return. So how can fraud be involved unless it is proved otherwise that I had some kind of collaboration with the supplier. So taking all these grounds into place, the appellate authority had actually remanded the matter back. But since the date of 74, a 73 issuance date is gone. So as per the notice, as per the circular, it is said that the entire proceedings will be dropped. So now we're waiting to see what will be the fate of the particular matter. But that's something interesting that has caught our eye and that was also discussed by our very own Arpit ji. So now we'll not get into the forms detail right now because the forms we'll have a different discussion. So another important thing that was discussed was about the appeals. That suppose I have filed an appeal, okay, and now I'm told that I have to withdraw the appeal before filing the SPL forms. So before filing SPL 02, basically, I have to withdraw the appeal. Now a question was raised by the House. Then what happens? First thing is how do we withdraw the appeal? So the address by Gurjit sir, and we also were aware that the fact is that what we need to do is just go to the appeal that we have filed online. If it's filed online, we just go to the appeal portion, and if no show cause notice has been issued against that particular appeal that we have filed, then we can just file it through the appeal withdrawal mechanism, and we file it there, and the confirmation comes, and then we can give that confirmation, I think, with the form. And what happens if the appeal, if the form SPL 02 is not accepted by the authorities? So they reject our application for the kind of waiver that we have applied. They don't feel that the waiver is applicable to us for whatever reason. So in that case, the appeal will be restored. Now, how the mechanism of appeal restoration will happen, that is not yet clear, but I'm sure as the procedure for SPL 02 will be outlined and the forms will come on the public domain on the online model, then we'll also have the procedure for restoration of appeal in place. So when we are discussing about the appeal that is filed before the FA, that is the first appellate authority, now the question of withdrawal of appeal from the tribunal doesn't stand, so we don't need to discuss that. But another important thing that we discussed lastly is that what will happen if the appeal, a writ petition was filed before the Honorable High Court or the Honorable Supreme Court. So now what will happen in those situations? How do we do it? Because once we withdraw the entire writ application, is it that by through some automatic mechanism there will be restoration? The answer was no. Why? Because it is the discretion of the Honorable High Court or the Supreme Court to admit any matter of writ, depending on the facts and the merits. So here, about the restoration of the appeals when we are of the writs, which we are withdrawing, that needs to be assessed properly. And before, as Venuji was sharing, that why are these sessions and discussions important amongst us, that all these discussions that have come up during the discussion last day, it will help us to take conscious decision for our taxpayers, that people we're advising or the seminars that we're attending to advise there. But one important thing that we need to share with the taxpayers is that when you are withdrawing any writ, you need to be doubly sure as to whether, whatever action you are taking, the consequences also need to be borne in mind. Because it's not that always the writ that has been withdrawn, that will automatically be accepted. So keeping all that in mind, and though whether do we have a place now, like we had started doing this after 24th June, whenever we are filing a writ, we are mentioning, it's their stand that, we have the liberty to, withdraw the matter, in case there is some development on the front of the department of the government, wherein they're giving some waivers. So we need to see whether such liberties can be sought from the higher courts, that, once the matter is withdrawn and there is something negative that we get in terms of SPL 02 and the orders, that we can again go back.
Arup
So
sir,
this
can
is
I
the thing that is there, that in case.
Arup sir, just you are talking on that withdrawal of appeal.
Yeah.
If you read 128 subsection 3, there they have used the term as date to be notified.
Yes.
And for the withdrawal, so I think till now there is no notification where they have notified the date of withdrawal. That is a one aspect. And
Yes.
second aspect, in the last discussion we had on that APL 01W, all that, where we can use Rule 109C for the withdrawal of appeal when the case is pending before Joint Commissioner Appeal before the
Only for
SCI.
online appeals.
Only for online appeal. So another issue is like we don't have any specific form for withdrawal of application. So we thought that we can use its APL1W itself, which is already inbuilt in the system
Yes.
for the withdrawal of appeal. But if we read the section which is specified in 128A, there is also an option that once it is withdrawn, it can be restored if it is rejected by the adjudicating authority or the respective authority. So if you see the 109C, we don't have any clause as such which has given a benefit that once it is withdrawn, it can be restored in case if the amnesty scheme is not notified. So
Right.
all that aspects are missing in this withdrawal form. So I believe that the date as well as the some specification should be there. Otherwise, we cannot generally imply that altogether Rule 109C will be applicable only for that, because that it is not designed as such for amnesty scheme. It is generally designed. That is what just one point I wanted to add in that.
So after our last discussion, the last SMS, I had the opportunity to discuss this with our commissionerate here in Kolkata. So we were given
Okay.
to understand that as per the discussions, I think that are being happening,
Yeah.
that what will happen is here restore. Why was the word? I was told that the word restored is taken because in tribunal normally you use this word restored. That your appeal was rejected by the honorable bench because of whatever reason you had not paid the full pre-deposit or there was some other reason you have not attended the hearing or whatever. So it is you file a miscellaneous application for restoring the entire appeal after you do the due to compliance of whatever the honorable judge had wanted. So the word restored is taken from there, from the particular instance.
Okay.
But here the
Okay.
process of restoration maybe, as I'm told, is that we'll be allowed to file appeal against the same order again. So now we need to see how it works at the back end by the GSTN, where because essentially the intent of the legislature, I mean the intent of the lawmakers here is that even if you withdraw the appeal and you fail to get a favorable order, okay, like in SPL, against your SPL 02, you will not lose the opportunity of filing an appeal. That's what the tax administrators want to assure us. So that is for the timing that is done. And about the effective date, what I believe is that since the forms will be available only after 31st March 2025, as we know now, I think the effective date will be 31st March 2025. That before that date, we have to file the appeal, withdraw the appeal and then file the SPL 02. And regarding another aspect also, there is a gray area as per our discussion last day, which is where manual appeals have been filed. Whether there, again, we file a manual application and get it acknowledged or not. So I think that is the kind of procedure that even the tax administrators, they are discussing on that only, that for manual appeals, maybe a manual application will be filed only.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you.
So now coming quickly to so these are some of the frameworks and discussion that we have had. Now coming quickly to the FAQ that we are discussing. So we will just go quickly through the FAQs wherever it is simple and wherever it's in detail, maybe we can have a deep discussion. So whether the benefit provided under Section 128A will be available to taxpayers who have paid the tax component in full before the date on which the said section had come into force. So that is the main doubt that was there कि मैंने तो और DRC 1A में पेमेंट कर दिया था, उसके बाद 1 में सिर्फ मेरा इंटरेस्ट और पेनल्टी आया, तो मैं क्या करूँ? या ASMT 10 में I had already after ASMT 10 I had paid my entire tax, but I did not pay interest and penalty. So what will happen? So that is now clarified in this FAQ 1, which is said that all such amount paid towards the said demand up to the date notified under subsection 1 of section 128A, irrespective of whether the said payment has been done before 128A comes into effect or after that, and irrespective of whether such payment has been made before the issuance of the demand notice. So this is very important. Irrespective of whether the such payment has been made before the issuance of the demand notice or demand order or after that shall be considered and paid towards the amount payable. So if you have paid the amount of tax through any color in any kind of timeline, okay, even before the DRC 01A was issued, you had got a simple letter. Like in some of the states, we had got simple letter, especially in the Northeast. We get simple letters wherein they say, this amount is due, for this, please pay within 10, 14 days, or we will issue notice. So there the taxpayers, they don't want to get into kind of litigation. So they have paid the tax, but they have not paid the interest. So in all the situations, wherever tax was paid, at any stage, it will be considered a tax paid. And therefore, in all those cases, the benefit of interest and penalty, it can be availed.
Arup sir, I have one point at this stage.
Yes, please. Sir.
Actually, the officer, in my case, the officer, called on the phone and informed that you have not paid between 1 and 3B. There is a big difference in that year itself, in 1920 itself, they informed. And what happened, since the returns were already filed,
Yes.
the noticee, the taxpayer went ahead and paid in GRC 3.
Right.
And subsequently, the officers get changed, and now notice was issued only in 2023.
Right.
So in this case, can we use that amount that was already paid in DRC 3 for amnesty?
Ma'am, you'll have to hold on to this question because there is a specific FAQ for this. So we'll discuss this question. I've written down the question and we'll discuss this only when the FAQ comes because that will be more relevant.
Sure.
Okay.
Arubhai, one
Yes,
thing
sir.
I want to ask related whether this FAQ covers the payment made out of ADT 1 or ADT 2.
Yeah, so Anand, that is wonderfully said. So here, if you see the line, it is said any place. So even if during audit period also we have paid, audit observation आया था, audit observation में we have paid, not even ADT 2. Before ADT 2 also, even during the audit observation, we already paid the tax. Because in the show cause notice, they'll have to mention that in the audit observation, this amount was demanded or whatever it is, and the SSC has not paid the interest and penalty, though they have paid the tax, and therefore the interest and penalty is due under section 73. So in that case, even those cases are covered here.
Great.
Only problem with audit, and especially with central GST, is that in most of the audits, the demand is under 74. So again, there we have to go for an appeal. In the appeal, we have to, get this confirmed that no, it's not a matter of 74, it's a matter of 73. So all those things are there for audit matters is under CGST. So now we go to the second question, whether amount recovered by the tax officer as tax due from any other person on behalf of the taxpayer against a particular demand can be considered as tax paid. So yes, it can be considered. I'll give you a real life example. So I am a plywood manufacturer. So I had actually supplied to some of the companies like corporates, and because of whatever problems within my company, because it's a joint family business. So within the family members, we had some problems. So we are not paying the taxes. Now department has gone ahead and issued a DRC 13 to my clients, to my customers. And they have recovered the money from there directly. Okay. They have recovered the tax element because that was the only amount that was available with my customers. So even in this case, though the money was not paid by me, it was collected from my customer. So even on this case, the tax paid will be equally considered as tax paid by me, and so that can be adjusted, and the benefit of that can be given while considering the tax payment for 128A. So if the entire money is recovered as tax, interest and penalties are due, so I very well get that benefit. But if that is not the case, maybe some portion is left, so the remaining portion I need to pay, and I get the benefit of interest and penalty only if it is under again 73. That is a given thing. That the order or the notice, anything has to be under 73. So that's about the third party payment, because this was again a doubt that was raised by the trade. So all these FAQs are doubts that we have collected from the trade from across India from different people. Some of the FAQs are given by us, some of the FAQs, and it has flown to the CBIC, and they have taken this wonderful opportunity of clarifying it for all of us. So next is whether the amount recovered by the tax officers as interest or penalty of both pertaining to demand under section 73 can be adjusted against the tax amount payable towards the demand made under section 73 pertaining to the said financial year. So the thing is that, as you all know, that each has a separate bucket of settlement, tax has a separate bucket, interest and penalty. So what has happened in these particular cases is that when the department was making the attachment from the banks, or in some cases wherein they have collected the tax also, they have come to my office and they had issued a notice under 73, because in many cases we have seen that though the investigation team had come and they had investigated they were kind enough to issue the notice under 73 so that the taxpayer, just give me a moment. So the taxpayer will get a lesser tax penalty benefit of 10%. So what had happened in some of the situations is that the amount was lying in my interest and penalty in the cash ledger. तब तक PMT 9 का वो आया नहीं था कि हम लोग ये ट्रांसफर कर सकते हैं. So the taxpayers were in such a rush of collection that they said, भाई तुम्हारा इंटरेस्ट पेनल्टी तुम पहले पे कर दो, जो भी तुमको पे करना है, और बाद में हम टैक्स का देखेंगे. अभी पैसा है पेनल्टी और इंटरेस्ट में तो पे कर दो. So now here they have clarified that whatever interest or penalty you have paid, that cannot be adjusted against tax. Or the other way around, there are many people who have paid, say they have got a tax demand of 10 lakhs. So they have paid the tax of say 3 lakhs, which they have accepted along with interest and penalty. So now they had a question in mind कि 10 लाख में से 3 लाख तो मैंने टैक्स दे दिया था और उसका जो इंटरेस्ट है से 2 लाख उसका तो मैंने इंटरेस्ट में दिया था, तो उस 2 लाख को भी इस टैक्स के साथ एडजस्ट कर दो. So the FAQ is saying no, if you have paid it under the interest column, the same cannot be adjusted against the tax payable or tax paid. So that's the clarity that they have brought, because this was again a doubt by the trade कि मेरा तो 10 लाख का टैक्स का डिमांड था, तो मैंने तो टैक्स इंटरेस्ट पेनल्टी मिला के 8 लाख पेमेंट कर दिया, तो अभी मुझे बाकी 2 लाख देना है. They said no, nothing of that sort. Fourth, whether the benefit provided under section 128A will be applicable in cases where the tax due has already been paid and the notice or demand orders under 73 only pertains to interest and not penalty involved. So this is again a very important thing that we are discussing, wherein I think Soumya ma'am had asked the question. So where the tax due has already been paid and the notice of demand under section 73 only pertains to interest or penalty involved, the same shall be considered for availing the benefit of section 128A. So this is plain vanilla. यहाँ पे explanation की कोई जरूरत ही नहीं है कि टैक्स ड्यू था, मैंने टैक्स पेमेंट कर दिया, इंटरेस्ट पेनल्टी नहीं किया है, तो उसका मुझे वेवर अभी मिलेगा. But the
Sir,
second,
my question is, not
Yeah.
in
your question is in the second
because-
part. Your question is in the
No.
second part now.
No,
How-
the demand is for the full amount only, because the officer doesn't go through the electronic credit ledger or cash ledger to see any voluntary payment that has been made.
Yeah.
They only run the regular reports, the standard reports, and they say, yeah, between 1 and 3B, there is a variance, now I'm demanding. So
Yes.
the payment was made under voluntary payment in DRC 3 way
Right.
back in 1920 itself.
Right.
But the show cause notice has come only in 23.
No,
And it is
yes,
the
Soumya ma'am,
tax
if you,
demand.
yeah, if you read this next portion now, the portion that I'm reading, which is very critical, where it says, however, the benefit of waiver of interest and penalty shall not be applicable. कहाँ पे? In the cases, two situations are given, where the interest has been demanded on account of delayed filing of returns. So you have filed your 3B delay, उसका interest देना पड़ेगा, वो नहीं दिया है, you have to pay. Delayed reporting of any supply in the return. April invoice. Invoices of April 2019. I have reported it in September 20. I am well within the time as per the law. मुझे जो करना था, I have done it. I have done the proper reporting. But I have done delayed reporting of the supply. So I had to report it in April 19, but I reported the invoice in September 20. I paid the tax in September 20. So it is delayed reporting of return. So in this case, the interest that is due, that will not be waived. So this is the second situation. First तो plain vanilla है कि 3B मैंने late से file किया, उसमें अगर कोई interest बनता है तो that has to be paid. Second is whether reporting has been delayed of the invoice. But in the second case, there is again a twist. What is the twist? April 2019 return. I have not shown it in my 1, but I have shown it in my 3B and I've already paid it. Okay? And you may say that Arup, ये कैसे हो सकता है? If you remember correctly, for the month of July, August and September 2017, we have filed the 3B first and then we filed the 1. तो उसमें काफी लोगों ने क्या किया, 3B में प्रॉपर्ली सब कुछ रिपोर्ट किया था, पेमेंट भी कर दिया है, बट इनवॉइस का जो रिपोर्टिंग था, they have not done it properly. They have done it, say August 17 का रिटर्न इनवॉइस है, they have shown it in the month of March 2019, जो कि लास्ट डेट था. So now whether in this case can any interest be raised. Why? Because even though I've shown the reporting of the invoice belatedly, so I've shown it in the July 17 ka invoice, I have reported in GSTR 1 of March 19, but I've paid the tax in 3B of July 17. So in this case, in my view, no interest is going to be applicable. So here we need to fight on the basis of merit and not on the basis of section 128A. So in all these cases, ideally, appeal should be filed and we should fight it there. Now coming to ma'am's question, Soumya ma'am's question.
Arupji,
Yes, sir. Yes.
here it is a question,
Yes.
confusion. What is delay reporting? You know, I reported the tax invoice in my GSTR 1
Haan,
for
sir.
the say March 19 in time. Okay,
Hmm.
but I paid tax on that in GSTR 3B of say May 20.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
no, it is delay reporting or not? What is meant by delay reporting?
Yes, so that
I
is
have shown my device
Yeah.
earlier in GST 1, but paid tax in the future 3B. What
Yes.
will be the scenario?
So, sir, you have to, so it's a conjunctive provision that has been given. Conjunctive मतलब दो condition एक साथ दिया गया है. So what are they saying? Delayed reporting of any supply where in the return. Now, as you all know that now after all this Appen company and all those discussions and all, we are not getting into that. That as on date, GSTR 1 is a statement where you're showing outward supplies. GSTR 3B is the return. Right? So here, if you consider the whole thing together, delayed reporting of any supply in the return, so ideally, the delay in 3B will be considered. तो अगर मतलब आपका जो एग्जांपल है मार्च 2019 का इनवॉइस है बट आपने जाके सितंबर 20 में 3B में पेमेंट किया राइट
हाँ,
आपने
yes,
सितंबर
yes.
हाँ तो इसमें आपका डिलेड
So
रिपोर्टिंग
you are saying that GSTR 1 is a statement and GSTR 3B is a return.
Yes. So that is my view that I've taken.
Delaying
Both
reporting
officers, we had a joint seminar with the state government here, with the state tax authority in one of the states.
Okay.
So there they have taken their different view. They are saying कि दोनों के लिए हम लोग consider करेंगे. One में भी जहाँ पे delay हुआ है, 3B में जहाँ पे delay हुआ है, दोनों का consider. But in my considered view, since they have used the word delayed reporting of any supply in the return and return is 3B, so अगर मैंने 3B properly file कर दिया है, and if you see from the other angle also, what is an interest that I'm paying? It's compensatory in nature. गवर्नमेंट का जो पैसा मैंने कलेक्ट किया था अपने कस्टमर से वो मैंने गवर्नमेंट को अगर जमा दे दिया विद इन टाइम मैंने भले ही अपने वन में देरी से दिखाया तो वेयर इज द कंपनसेशन दैट आई नीड टू गिव टू द गवर्नमेंट
वो तो ठीक है वो तो आपका बिल्कुल ठीक है पॉइंट
so that is the thing that is my view that I've taken but we have to have a clarity on this because now diverse views are being taken by some of the revenue officials on this.
Before Soumya question, just one more point.
Yeah, ma'am.
The 7512 which they have given, actually,
Yes.
if you see, there is nothing in section and rule. 164 is also silent and 128A is also silent. So whether only circular can put such restrictions saying that this interest for this 7512 is not applicable. That also one point we can, because if you see 128A, nowhere they have given and some exclusion for this when they have
164 I
discussed.
think they have given, no?
Rule 164, I couldn't
they have
find
given.
7512. No, sir, I did not find in of 7512
Just
exception.
check.
Only 75.2 is there, but not 75.12 giving a exclusion from this. So only circular has clarified on this aspect. So I think
Yes.
that also one way we can read actually.
Yeah, so yeah, that is there, but I've seen this somewhere. I'll just have to check. 1 second, I think.
Sir, it is not in the act.
Act में तो नहीं है, rules में I think I've seen
Yeah,
it.
and if it is not in the act itself and not in the rules itself, and we discussed it with the Honorable Revenue Secretary
Mm-hmm.
in some meeting, because in future this circular is binding on the department, not as per the law. Something may come out in future because even today SVL DRS cases are going on.
Yes. But
Secondly,
yeah, we SBL DRS के लिए तो बोल रहे हैं. SBL DRS में they have gone by the circulars.
yeah, and secondly, sir, about voluntary payments.
Yes.
For example, I paid at the stage of ADT 01, ADT 02. In those cases, show cause notice should be there. If show cause notice is not there, I
हाँ
have just paid, I am silent, department has not issued show cause notice.
नहीं सर, अगर 73 का
I
मैटर
just,
है, 73 का
I
टाइमलाइन तो चला गया ना, शोकॉज नोटिस इशू करना ही है हमको.
I just show cause notice is time for issuance of show cause notice is not there, but whether this interest is still payable. What is the mode of recovery? Because interest can be recovered under 7512 also.
Yes.
Do we need to issue separate notice for only interest? I paid the tax.
Mm-hmm.
No action was taken by the department. Matter is
Right.
not alive.
Right.
In that case, this benefit of 128 capital A may be taken or not. In my view, those are the cases where this benefit cannot be allowed. How to go for this benefit in the absence of the notice itself?
But
And liability to
but
pay
no,
interest
no, if we go logically, can they issue 73 notices now? They can't, unless
No,
it's a matter of huh?
for interest, they can directly go for 79 because it is self-assessed liability.
हाँ, that's what we're going to discuss now. देखिए वो तो अलग ही बात हो गया, फिर उसमें तो आपका क्वांटिटी डे का बात ही नहीं आ रहा है. That's why they've included this in the circular. That's
Which
what
one,
we're
sir?
going to discuss right now. But that is what Soumya ma'am's exact question is. कि मैंने मेरा 103B में डिफरेंस था, मैंने पेमेंट तो कर दिया, बट इंटरेस्ट पेमेंट नहीं किया, तो उसका क्या होगा? So that
But
is the main doubt.
To add to that question,
Mhm.
SCN is not here. One
Right.
case is show cause notice is there. Another case is show cause notice is not there. If show cause notice is there, it is clear that except these two interests, other interests will be taken care of. If show cause notice itself is not there,
देखिए, yeah, see, what I feel, sir, is कि अगर show cause notice is not there, then I'm not coming within 128 day itself, no?
yes, but recovery can still be made under 7512 read with 79.
Yeah, because that is something that they've already considered कि जहां पे आपके पास notice है, and your notice है कि मतलब क्या है, you have been taken into a particular proceeding and you have participated in the proceeding, तो वहां पे they are basically giving this benefit.
Yes, और अगर नोटिस नहीं है तो वो
नोटिस नहीं है,
cases
जाहिर ये है कि
Sorry,
वो
sir,
notice
under
नहीं करना चाहते.
79, sir, under 79, it's a direct recovery. There is no
yes,
amnesty
direct
or
recovery.
anything.
Right. So
Yes.
that means the intent is that जहाँ पे वो नहीं दे रहा, so if there is a direct recovery, they don't want to have issue a notice, then they don't want to give the benefit of this also.
And sir,
But sir,
related to this,
Yes, sir.
just one question related to
हाँ,
this.
Rajesh sir.
Is there any cutoff date? Because this question is related to many questions.
Yes.
Whether there is any cutoff date for a notice or order to have been issued, whether these should have been issued before 1st November 2014 or after. If it is a case that before application under 128 capital A, notice should exist, or it may be issued after 1st November 2020. Is there any cutoff date for?
No cutoff date could be seen because whatever cutoff date has been given for the like payment and the application of SPL2.
Yes. Okay, sir.
Arupji,
Yes, sir.
no, mood question is that, I think I have heard this. Mood question is that where 73 time limit is over, can they recover interest directly? I think they have to issue show cause notice for that also.
No, so that is a question that we are going to discuss right now. That is the thing that we are going to discuss.
That should be discussed.
Yeah, that is अभी sir वही discuss कर रहे हैं sir. That is a more question now. So before going to discuss, we'll take ESG. ESG बोलिए.
Yeah, only one point that I think this 7512 reference which is mentioned here,
Yes.
in my understanding, it is not inconsistent with the provisions of 128A because any which way, if there is a show cause notice under section 73, only for interest, technically one can take an argument by saying that it is not proper because it is not covered within 73. Now that even if it is a wrong show cause notice under 73 only for interest, it is now very well covered within the scheme.
Right.
So what they are trying to say is for 7512 cases where a direct recovery is possible, and there is a Gujarat High Court judgment of that Rajkamal Builders which says that directly DRC 07 can be issued there. I think
Right.
in those cases, they are referring to that if it is a direct DRC 07 for those periods, referring to 7512, then you cannot come here, which any which way is not covered in 128A. So even if the circular was not there, the understanding would have been it is not covered because it is not a 73 procedure.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you, SG. Correct. Since, as I was sharing with Rajiv ji also, since it is not coming in the ambit of 73, so that's why they have chosen not to keep it in the thing itself. मतलब 128 में cover नहीं करने का वो सोचे.
Right.
Thank you. So, any other view on this? Any other view of the house?
Arup sir, actually, I was just trying to listen to yes sir also.
Yes.
But the issue is not like it is part of 73. I agree with that. But what I'm saying is they would have excluded when they are talking on the order which is applicable for the amnesty scheme. So when they have said that order as on 73, so that itself will clarify why if they have to give some exclusion, they have to bring out through rule or section, sir. They cannot only clarify it by way of circular, sir. That is what my view. I agree that they want to give an exclusion to this, but they have to bring out through section and rules, and it cannot become only as a clarificatory. It is something which is binding, and it is something which is not, scheme is not applicable. So I read that it should be brought out by way of section or rule. That was my view. But one more school of thought from Yash is that it may not is required as 73 notice is there, but there are two thoughts on that, sir.
Only on
Yeah,
practical
I
front,
also.
madam. What I have
Yeah.
seen, sorry,
Yeah.
on the practical front, what I have seen recently is
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
we have received orders directly under 70, referring to 7512, not referring to any other section.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
against that, if one would like to go, let's say I have a DRC 07 only referring to 7512, and then I want to go, then even if the circular was not there,
Yeah.
I could not have taken an argument by saying it is well covered within 128A. That's the only point. I think that they were aware of. They got probably on the structure of GST and is like this. They've understood it, and that's why they mentioned this.
Yeah, because this question is coming from the trade. So
Okay.
the question is a very common question. We in Kolkata itself, we have received more than 17, 18 queries on the same line, on the same thing from different angles, but underlying thought is same. Yes, sir.
Sir,
Yeah.
in the yes, you were saying, in that case, what is issued for recovery of this interest? DRC 0
7.
without show cause notice, sir?
Yes.
Without show cause notice,
Without
DRC
show-
07 can be issued.
Yes, it can be issued. No, because we have not paid the interest on the self-assessed tax. Now we'll discuss what is self-assessed tax. So
Now,
Suresh has
now,
a big clarity over why it is.
yeah,
Because I think that
yeah,
is the thing that we need to discuss here. Because out of 128 days is one of the thing which needs to be clear to all of us. Because I have seen, at least for me, that it's a very tangible area. Yeah, Shravanaji, you wanted to share something, sir?
yeah.
Yeah, so what Yash was pointing out, I completely agree that first of all, again, as you've shown in the screen also, it's 7512 is notwithstanding 73 or 74. So first of all, there's no requirement of DRC 1 or 7 for this particular aspect. But as he was pointing out, there are certain judgments also, even in Madras, again, we were part of Daijung Moparts and other cases where there was a sort of an understanding that even for this an order is required. So probably in practice, they were issuing order even for 7512 cases, even though it was not required, technically speaking, they can directly recover. So as you are also rightly pointing out, even in such cases where DR7 is not required, but it has been issued, we can't use this as a, pretext for gaining the advantage under the scheme. So that's what they're trying to clarify here. But this apart, I think, on many other aspects, the circular is overshooting the act and the rules, and there are rules which are again overshooting the act. So that is there. But on this issue, I don't feel any problem is there with what the circular has clarified.
For the other issues, so as we go in the FAQ, then we'll discuss.
Yes, exactly. I don't want to take it up now. So once we go, we'll come ahead and exactly. Yeah.
So now going back to 7512, for the benefit of the House.
Sorry to interrupt, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, Arup sir.
Sir,
Here is the case. This is
Yeah.
for import of service. The order is with respect to interest on belated reporting of this payment of RCM tax under import of services. It is a
Right.
clear case of time of supply. So now we have an interest liability of 12 lakh rupees. Hopefully, this will not be covered by 7512 because it speaks about only outward supply.
Right.
So can we avail this? We can go by this waiver of under section 122.
Yeah, in my view, it is allowed. It will be allowed. Because and that will be clear once we read this 7512 also, what 7512
Yeah.
restricts us to.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Thank you.
So notwithstanding anything contained in 73 or 74, so that itself is very clear that it's, like clearly outbarring everything else. Where any amount of self-assessed tax so this is very important because recently we had a session on 7512 for 1 hour. So there I could understand this in a better way. So where any amount of self-assessed tax in accordance with the return furnished under section 739 remains unpaid. So first condition for 7512 is that I've already furnished a return under section 39. Okay. So I have already filed my 3B. So for 7512, that's at least the view that we had taken. So, but the House may have a different view and we'll of course discuss on everything. So first I'm sharing my view, then we'll take all the views of the House. So wherein the amount of self-assessed tax is in accordance with the return furnished under section 39 remains unpaid, either wholly or partly, or any amount of, so now here the question by many people that are being raised across the industry is, because we also had a session with the industry people, the CFOs from different IT companies. So they raised the question that Arup, a self-assessed tax, how can it remain unpaid? If you have to file 3B, you have to pay all the taxes. So this thing is itself bogus. ये हो ही नहीं सकता है. But the practical, if you see what is happening, आपने 1 में 1 crore का से 18 lakhs का liability दिखा दिया है. And when you have filed 3B, because you are a works contractor, you don't have money. You have lowered the taxable value. You have paid tax of 10 lakhs only. So 8 lakhs का आपका बाकी है. So in this case, what is happening? Amount of self-assessed tax in accordance with the return furnished under section 39 is remaining unpaid partly. Okay. Why? As per 1, my liability was 18. As per my 3B, I have shown my liability is 10. So I have paid whatever I have shown as liability in 3B. मैंने दिखा दिया है, but I've paid, around 8 lakhs short. Okay, so this is possible and this can happen. So it is not that valid return. That is the definition of valid return. That what is a valid return? Where all the taxes have been paid. Here, as per 3B, आपने जो declare किया है, आपने report किया, आपने वो pay कर दिया है. उसमें कोई problem नहीं है. Problem है 1 में जो liability दिखा है, उससे आपने कम payment किया है. Now this may arise because of many situations. There can be clerical errors also, because of which this DRC01B and all these things have come. So next part is, or any amount of interest payable on such tax remains unpaid. So you have to be very careful about this line, or any amount of interest payable on such tax remains unpaid. So, आपने 18 लाख का टैक्स 1 में दिखाया, आपने 10 लाख 3B में दिखाया, 8 लाख आपने नहीं दिखाया, राइट? ये आपने क्या किया? बाद में जाके, say later on, say notice is not issued, you have filed it in 3B. आपका ये, just taking our earlier example, April 19 invoice of 18 lakhs, April 3B, I filed 10 lakhs का tax, say I have only one invoice. September 20, I go ahead, in my 3B, I show 8 lakhs ka tax payable, I pay as 8 lakhs. So I have paid that amount after a delay in my 3B. Second situation could be, I have paid it through DRC03. Okay, मैंने 3B में पेमेंट नहीं किया है. मैंने जब मैं एनुअल रिटर्न कर रहा था तो मुझे ख्याल आया कि मेरा जो टैक्स पेबल एज पर माई बुक्स है और टैक्स पेबल एज माई 3B है, उसमें डिफरेंस है. भले ही मैंने वन इन माई बुक्स दे आर मैचिंग, बट मैं 3B में आई हैव मेड शॉर्ट पेमेंट, सो आई हैव मेड द पेमेंट थ्रू माई DRC03, so I can make the payment through DRC03. Third situation, I have got a demand, right? Till the moment of demand, I have not, saying for all the practical examples, कि मैं मान के चल रहा हूँ कि इसमें मुझे एक नोटिस इशू किया गया है और मैं उसमें भी डिफेंड करता रहा कि मेरे क्लरिकल मिस्टेक था, वो था, ये था, बट फाइनली आई नो दैट इट्स एक्चुअली पेबल बाय मी. सो नाउ आई हैव पेड इट. माय कंसल्टेंट नाउ, प्रीवियसली माय कंसल्टेंट वाज सेइंग देख लेते हैं किसी भी तरह इसको एमनेस्टी आएगा जहां पे टैक्स भी पेमेंट नहीं करना पड़ेगा, जस्ट लाइक वैट में अपना था टैक्स का 25% पे कर दीजिए, आपका एसओडी में आप चले गए, बस टैक्स का 75% इंटरेस्ट पेनल्टी बच जाएंगे. विद अ सिमिलर आउटलुक, से सम टैक्स कंसल्टेंट इज एडवाइस कि 8 लाख का आपका जो भी टैक्स बाकी है, ये टैक्स भी आप मत पे कीजिए, शो कॉज नोटिस में देखिए. मैं करता रहा इन द होप दैट वो एमनेस्टी में कवर हो जाएगा. फाइनली द वेवर कम्स only for tax and interest. So now I paid against my payment against demand. 8 lakh मैं उसको pay करता हूँ. Then all these situations, what has happened ideally is that my self-assessed tax was remaining pending, was remaining unpaid, and I've paid that amount. Okay, either through the 3B of September 20, now example, or through DRC in January 2021, or through payment against demand in 2023. कुछ भी हो सकता है, you know, maybe the situations. If that interest is lying as payable, I have not paid the interest. So that will be recovered under section 79. So this is squarely not covered under 128A. What the explanation has said is about self-assessed tax. What is self-assessed tax? For the purpose of this subsection, the expression, because this was inserted recently in January 22, the expression self-assessed tax shall include the tax payable in respect of outward supplies furnished under section 37, GSTR 1, but not included in the return furnished under section 39. So, 1 में दिखा दिया है, 3B में नहीं दिखाया है, so that is self-assessed tax that is due. So, this is all about 7512. So, Soumya ma'am, if you go to your example now, you have shown it in, I think, you have shown it in 1, right?
Yeah, we have shown it in 1, not in 3B. But at the time of filing 9, the tax was paid in DRC 3.
Yes.
And
So
now
it-
the demand is for the tax with interest and penalty up to date,
Right.
because the officer has not considered payments made in DRC in GSTR 9.
Right.
So it is for the full tax amount.
Yes. So in your case, ideally, it's a matter falling within 7512. Why? You have shown a higher tax payable in 1. You have paid that balance amount which is payable in your DRC 03. So you accept that if there was a mismatch between your 1 and 3B. That's something you're ordinarily accept. So once you accept that, you fall within the bracket of the definition of self-assessed tax, which is there in the explanation. So since self-assessed tax is due, which is maybe partly or fully, whatever. So any amount which is there, that can be recovered under section 79. So you fall under under 7512. And so now through a conjoined reading of 7512 with, as SG has rightly said, 128A, you will not be eligible for the waiver under section 128A, which is being further clarified by FAQ 4 of the clarification of the circular.
Irrespective of whether even a notice under 73 is there.
Yes,
Pending.
that's why they've covered this portion. That's why they've said. Because they're considering कि यहाँ पे कुछ अगर somebody has issued a notice also. So you have to understand what is the question. Question is whether the benefit provided under section 128A will be applicable in cases where the tax due has already been paid and the notice of demand orders under 73 only pertains to interest and penalty involved. Okay. So here, what are they saying as an exclusion clause? However, so they're saying yes, whereas the tax due has been paid and the notice of demand is under 73, only pertains to interest and penalty, so the same shall be considered for availing the benefit of section 128A. They said, however, it will not be applicable, shall not be applicable in the cases where the interest has been demanded on account of delayed filing of returns or delayed reporting of any supply in the returns, as such interest is related to demand of interest on self-assessed liability and does not pertain to any demand of tax dues and is directly recoverable under 7512. So you fall within this exception clause. So now the view of the house on this. On FAQ 4, if you have any other views, we can share, because this is something which is very important. Then why it should
Sir?
not be treated.
Arupta,
Yes, sir.
but Soumya ma'am, she can go for a DRC 03A and the interest would be liable only. It will be out of 128A, but she can go through DRC 03A and interest will be liable only till from the due date till the payment through DRC 03.
Sir, but here the main issue is that Soumya ma'am had shown a higher liability in her 1.
Yeah,
So she has
but she
accepted
paid
that.
through DRC 03 later.
Yeah, but then that's what 7512 is saying. 7512, if I just once I'll just read.
Appellate remedy will be the only remedy in this case. Instead of amnesty, we have to go in appeal and go
You're
on
saying
the
it is
merits
only
of
a
it.
notice yet, no? So
No,
it
no,
is
no.
only a notice.
Notice under 73 confirmed with the order by
Okay.
31st August.
Yeah.
Because 1920, 31st August was the last date. So 29th August they have confirmed.
But first go for DRC 03A, that would be my view.
Yeah, definitely
Madam,
we have
It's
to go.
DRC 03A, that is one part, but will it not be self-assessed tax? That is something that we are trying to explore.
Yeah,
Will it not fall in the definition where it says?
and first of all, whether they will accept that as a pre-deposit also is is something in my mind, or whether when we go on appeal, whether it has to be with separate pre-deposit or this 3A, whatever is
No. That is something we have done, ma'am, already. Once you adjust with the 3A, you are nullifying the demand, no?
Yeah, that's what.
Then there is no further demand, then there is no pre-deposit. That we have already tested. That is working. So many of our demands, the client had done a mistake. Like after the notice, after the order, they had done all these things. Sorry, after the notice, they have made the payment and the officer had not included that DRC 03 because of some rush. He had not considered that and they have issued the order without considering that. So now when we are filing the 3A, adjusting the demand, uske baad to demand hi nahi rahega. So there is no question of pre-deposit. But Gurjit sir, we are mainly on that thing of definition of self-assessed tax.
Yes, sir. Sir, it would be self-assessed tax, but the interest liability, in my view, would be only from the time when that liability was due till the time of payment through DRC 03, not till the date of the order, etc. The interest and tax outside, interest and penalty, if any, outside of 128A will get reduced to that extent.
So that's what. But in this case, can she take the ground? Since I've already shown something higher in the one, and I've later on paid in the DRC 03, I am also eligible for 128A. Because the FAQ clearly says, and that's what the outcome of the section is.
Yeah, she can take that chance. If it gets rejected, the appeal will get
Then she
restored.
has to file an appeal.
Yeah.
That is it. And what are the other? I think somebody else had also raised a hand. Yes, yeah.
No, so Arupji, in this case, though we discussed that this appears to be interest on self-assessed tax, but the manner in which the proceedings have been described, it is a case clearly covered under 73 because she has an order under 73, and the 73, the notice can be issued or the order is passed only when there is tax due, and it is not a self-assessed tax; it's a tax due as per the department, and on that they have basically levied interest.
Right.
So the best practice the better practice in this case should be, madam should file appeal, wait for SPL 1 to come, then madam should actually withdraw the appeal, file SPL 2 rather in this case, and then through that adjustment of DRC 03, and not to explain that interest is actually under 7512, because the order itself is not alleging that it is an interest on the self-assessed tax. It is saying it's an interest on tax due, and I think on that basis she'll be able to get the benefit.
But having said that, the person who's going to say pass the order on SPL 02, will he consider that why is the interest accumulating?
But he can't do that. He has to only decide whether the case was covered under 73 or not. Okay. He can't decide the case on merits by saying that actually the proceeding should have been under 75, because now the DRC 7 has been passed under 73. It can't be converted into 7512. For 7512, basically what Gujarat High Court, which was referring to, they said DRC 07 directly can be issued because it is not just an order, but it is a notice for recovery.
Right.
And that is why they have to issue DRC 07. In this case, actually an order has been passed, which is also a notice under recovery, but it is an order in pursuance to a 73 proceeding.
But in the order, will the officer not write that, the higher sale was shown in 1 and 3B was delayed belatedly?
I don't think that would have done, because madam has explained she has already paid the tax and that has not been considered at all. So it is a clear case of short payment of tax as per the order, unless there is something in the order which we don't know.
Sir, is that the FAQs which are there, the FAQ number 4, the however part, the exception part, is it excluding only 7512 or all delayed cases, etc.?
All delayed, all the 3 delayed cases.
So even if it falls under, if it goes out of 7512, it will fall under that interest and penalty will not be, it would still be leviable.
Two interests are not
as per circular.
Yeah, no, 2 interests are kept out of it. One is that for late filing of 3B and second is for late reporting of the supply.
So even if Yash sir is saying that even if it is taken as a 73 order, so the exceptions part as per the circular, and not only the 7512 for the delayed payment of tax also, that much interest till the filing of DRC 03 would still be leviable. That would not be exempted under 128A as per the circular.
Only
Now,
I
as
have
per
a,
the circular.
sorry, I only have a different point, different
Yes.
point of view on this, Arupji. My
Yes.
reading says that the second part of the FAQ,
Yeah.
it talks about the interest which is covered under 7512 only, even if all delayed cases covered only under 7512, not any other case. Otherwise, it is too much of a discretion given to the officer in each case to decide.
No, if you read the first part,
Yes.
The order is only for interest, not an order with interest.
But still, that
along
order is
with
under
this.
73, madam, right?
Yeah. It
No,
is
no,
under
I'll
73.
give you one hypothetical example. So here the example is that I've already paid the tax on time, but I filed the 3B belatedly. So because of my delay in filing of 3B, the interest is arriving. Say 50,000. So that is also squarely covered as an exception. I will not get that benefit.
You read this second paragraph. Actually, the manner in which it clearly says it is directly recoverable under 7512. So it says, however, the benefit of waiver of interest and penalty shall not be applicable in cases where interest has been demanded on account of delayed filing of return or delayed reporting of any supply in
So
the
these two
return.
subsets are covered. So these two subsets are covered. One is delayed delayed filing of returns, which is filing of 3B, and
Yes.
delayed reporting of any supply in the return.
Right.
It's covered.
And then it says, as such, interest is related to demand of an interest on self-assessed liability and does not pertain to any demand of tax dues and is directly recoverable under 7512. So my understanding is these two subsets they are referring to if it should be covered under 7512. Practically, otherwise, you're telling an officer that in every 73 order, first of all, he has to apply his mind whether the interest is for delayed payment or delayed filing. That is too much of a discretion given to the officer.
No, but
sir, if we look into the question also, we read the answer in relation to the question. The query itself is that notice or demand order under section 73, if it pertains only. So that refers to only the orders under 73. As far as the circular, I'm not going into the aspects of the act, etc. That would be a separate discussion. But in the FAQs, the question itself is about 73 orders.
No, that's okay, sir. 73 order is there. But if I have...
What Yash sir is saying that it refers the interest, etc. It's referring only to 7512. The discretion is being given to officer. So the query is in response to that. If it is an order under 73, would that interest relief would be there? So the response is that even if it is an order under 73, the interest relief would not be there in this given circumstances. Otherwise, it would be there. Because in these given circumstances, anyway, it was recoverable under 7512. And for 7512, there is no time limit, etc. also. So all those aspects will come later. But even if we restrict to the circular, the query is about orders under 73.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Arup sir.
Sir,
Arup sir, question is that whether this...
Yes, sir.
Because it is under 128A, okay, my order is under section 73 only. So, sir, this question, reply to this question may not be valid, may not be as per the law, sir. That is a point.
Okay. Yeah, Venuji.
Sir, okay. No, I want to pause it because people are also leaving. It's 10:02.
Yes. So I think we'll pause it, but I think
this question definitely from now to next week we can discuss because strict reading of 128A 73 orders to be covered, but the 7512 recovery is done through 73 order. Would that be covered? Is it in the spirit of the law or the intent of the law? So we need to examine that.
Yes. So let's discuss in the group and maybe we can have a paper on this. So I'll request Annapurna ma'am. So then, Annapurna ma'am, are you there?
Yes.
So ma'am, I would request if it's okay with you to volunteer that within this week we'll discuss in the group and maybe by next Saturday if you can share a small write-up on this. Only on this aspect. If it's okay with you.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for the volunteering. So thank you everyone for joining, and finally to Venuji for the final conclusion.
Yes, so there's no conclusion. We just
Discussions.
completed only 4 FAQs. Fifth
Yes.
one is in work in progress, and that's how the serious discussions are. And request everyone to actually do contribute your thoughts, and let's have constructive arguments to come up with the better discovery of the law. Thank you, Arup. Thank you, Yesh Bhai. Thank you, everyone, for your contribution. Let's meet again on next Saturday. Again, please mark it in your calendars. Zoom is always in the description. Thank you.
Thank you everyone. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks everybody.